What's up, y'all? NBA free agency has only been going on for around 24 hours, but we've already seen some massive moves. And yeah, let's get straight into it. I mean, starting off big here, we got Paul George going to the 76ers. He signed for 4 years, $212 million. And I mean, yeah, if you're the 76ers, you got money because Tobias Harris's big contract is gone now, finally expired. I think that Paul George is going to be a great fit with the 76ers. You're getting another pure scorer. I mean, I think it'll be interesting to see if he pans out, especially because James Harden didn't, and he was a scorer, and he also added playmaking. But Paul George is also going to give the 76ers more defense in their wing position, so I think that's going to be very important to look out for, and I think that that's why he's worth all the money they're giving him. And honestly, I think that the 76ers, what really it all comes down to is if Joel Embiid is going to stay healthy. If Embiid stays healthy, then I think that they got a shot to make the conference finals, make the NBA finals maybe. You know, we were talking the other day about how the Knicks were the team to beat, or one of the teams to beat, other than the Celtics. And I think the 76ers have solidified themselves up there too now. And I think that, the 76ers always have a lot of hype coming into the season. But by adding Paul George here, I think that the hype can potentially be real this time. And I think that he could definitely allow for them to win more games and become the contenders that they've always wanted to be. All right, another big one that just actually happened today. Klay Thompson signed with the Mavericks, 3 years, $50 million. For me as a Rockets fan, I love that he's out of Golden State. I think this is a great move for Mavs otherwise, but yeah, after all this damage he did to me as a fan, I'm so happy he's gone. But going back to the Mavs, he's going to help a lot with floor spacing. He's going to be a great replacement for Derrick Jones Jr., who signed with the Clippers for 3 years for $30 million, I believe. And yeah, so Klay Thompson's going to be their first shooter that can actually shoot above the break, unlike PJ Washington and Josh Green, who they actually traded. But yeah, so he's going to be able to shoot other things other than just wide open catch and shoot corner threes. He'll be able to shoot from the wing, the top of the key. You guys know Klay Thompson. He'll shoot from anywhere. And so apparently Klay actually signed for less money than other teams were offering. And this was because he wants to win a fifth championship before he retires. And honestly, I think that he could win it with the Mavericks. I think that by adding another 3-and-D guard, you're elevating your style of play, and Klay Thompson also brings along shooting. So if Kyrie and Luka were having bad games like we saw in the finals, you have someone who can step up now, which was a big issue for them in the finals and something that they need to fix. All right, looking at a smaller signing, but still pretty big in my opinion, we had Kentavious Caldwell-Pope go to the Magic for 3 years, $66 million. In my opinion, this is a great signing for the Magic. This gives him a 3-and-D guard that can help coach up the young guys while also allowing for the locker room to have NBA Finals experience with the Nuggets and the 2020 Lakers. And KCP also has experience playing with Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets and that whole offensive scheme, defensive scheme that Mike Malone has in Denver. And he also gives the Magic shooting, which is something that they needed. And he's also bolstering their defense. That was also very, very good this year. I think that they might have been the number one defense. I'm not too sure. I don't have the stats pulled up. But yeah, I think Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, this might be a little overpaid, $22 million. But I mean, in this day, you're going to have to pay that much if you want to get a 3-and-D guard that's going to be an efficient player. And, I think that for the Magic, I think that they were definitely trying to hit a home run with trying to sign Klay Thompson, who they obviously didn't get. But I think that ending up with Kentavious Caldwell-Pope isn't a bad replacement. You're still getting a shooter and a defender, which is what you were really aiming for. And I think that, next year they're going to be even better than they were this year. All right. Looking at Tyrese Maxey going back to the 76ers on a $204 million max contract for 5 seasons. I love this deal for the 76ers. You're basically locking up one of the next young and up-and-coming guards in the NBA. And now that you have him for 5 more years, that means you're going to compete for the playoffs for 5 more years. And, even though it's a lot of money, it's Tyrese Maxey. You're going to have to pay him that much money. And honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if within 10 years we're seeing people getting near $1 billion contracts. But, yeah, I mean, Tyrese Maxey, this is a great deal. I think that he did really, really well in the playoffs. He was a great scorer. He was a great contributor for the team. And he was one of the main reasons why they ended up going as far as they could in the playoffs. And You know, he had a couple of great moments against the Knicks in that playoff series in the Eastern Conference first round. But I mean, if you're looking at the 76ers, Tyrese Maxey is going to be a very important focal point for them because, like I was talking about before, with Paul George being added, I think that Tyrese Maxey now is going to be, you know, the second or third scorer possibly, and I think that he's a really good third option, and he could be a third option on a championship team. But Maxey's also giving you a lot of playmaking that's important. And I think that especially if Joel Embiid isn't doing well in the playoffs, I could have said this with Paul George as well. I think that, you know, they can step it up, Paul George and Tyrese Maxey, and I think that, you know, it's going to be very likely that Joel Embiid doesn't step up in a playoff game or two. Like we've seen it in the past. His game doesn't really translate with all the fouls he tries to draw. But you know, I think that this is good for the 76ers. All right, moving on. Isaiah Hartenstein signing with the Oklahoma City Thunder. 3 years, $87 million. That is an absolute bag for Hartenstein, but he deserves it after his great run in the playoffs with New York and in the regular season. You know, like I've implied, this is a little bit of an overpay, but I mean, if you're the Thunder, you're looking super dangerous now. You now have a traditional big that's basically the only thing that you're missing, and you know, this is a big loss for the Knicks. They don't really have a center. I mean, you can bring back Precious Achiuwa, and I think he'll be good, but I don't think he's going to be at the level that Isaiah Hartenstein was at this past season. And you know, I love that they have the Nova Knicks going on there, but they need a center. You need a center to lock down, especially in the East with people like, you know, Joel Embiid, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Jason Tatum, Kristaps Porzingis. I mean, the list goes on. So yeah, but I mean, this is a great deal for the Thunder. You're getting even more defense. You're getting a big center down low that can help guard people like Jonas Valanciunas, which we saw in the playoffs with the Pelicans Thunder, where Chet Holmgren was kind of getting bodied a little bit. So now you got, you know, a bigger dude who can come in and help Chet Holmgren. And yeah, I love this move for the Thunder. I mean, I think that they're going to be another team to look out for in the West. I think the West is going to be super competitive this year, but yeah, moving on. James Harden, 2 years, $70 million. So this is, you know, if you're looking at Steve Ballmer, he's not going to let both Paul George and James Harden walk. I think this is a good deal for James Harden. You know, you're getting the bag, $35 million a year. You're going to be able to contend with Kawhi Leonard, and this contract is very team friendly in my opinion. I think that, you know, it's allowing for more cap space because, you know, Paul George obviously is walking, and now you got money to sign people like Derrick Jones Jr., who signed the 3 years, $30 million contract, like I said before. And you know, I like this. I like this a lot for the Clippers that they actually let Paul George walk, in my opinion, because I don't think you can win with the big three-headed monster anymore. You need like two. I've said this before. You need two big, you know, homegrown talents, which the Clippers obviously Kawhi Leonard, James Harden aren't homegrown. But you need like two big talents, and you need to surround your team with great role players around them. We've seen it in the past. You know, that's why the Rockets in 2018 were so good. They had Harden, Chris Paul, and they surrounded them with everyone they needed. That's why, you know, the Boston Celtics were good this year. Um, the only team really I can think of that didn't follow that logic was the Golden State Warriors, but they were kind of stacked and overpowered. But yeah, even like the Cavaliers with LeBron and Kyrie, Kevin Love, you could consider if it was. I mean, I wouldn't consider that a big three, but you know, he was a very good additional piece to LeBron and Kyrie. But yeah, I think that, you know, going back with the Clippers, I think that if Harden and Kawhi can find a way to stay healthy for the majority of the season, then they're actually going to be a really good team, and they're going to be hard to beat in the playoffs, especially if Kawhi is back at the level that we saw him in 2019 with Toronto. It's going to be tough to beat him. All right, but looking at Chris Paul signing with the Spurs, 1 year, $11 million. This is a great signing for both sides. I'm very sad that Chris Paul is definitely not ring chasing anymore, and he's just trying to, you know, maybe potentially get some more years, which I think that this could help him because he's playing with Wemby. But I mean, looking at this with the Spurs point of view, you're getting a really good intelligent point guard that they needed last year. They did not have good point guard play at all last year, and this is going to help develop Wemby into that superstar talent we know he can be next year. But looking at Chris Paul, I don't think that the Spurs are going to win the NBA Finals next year. I think that they could be a play-in, maybe a playoff team. And you know, me, I've always been a Chris Paul fan ever since I started watching basketball. So it's definitely gonna be sad to see him go without most likely getting a ring, unless he potentially signs somewhere next year. but I believe he's 39, heading into his 20th season in the NBA. I think he's ready to hang up the shoes. But I think if Chris Paul does really well this year, he could potentially sign like a 2-year deal with a contending team for more money, and he could maybe revive his career. I don't think it's gonna happen though. But yeah, I mean, I love this deal for the Spurs. I think that you're getting someone to teach Wemby, and on top of that, you're just building culture, and I think that's really important in San Antonio. All right, looking at Derek White, 4 years, $125.9 million deal to the Celtics. I love this for the Celtics. It's as simple as that. You just need to keep your core guys together and preserve them for as long as possible. Locking Derek White for 4 years, that's great. That's exactly what you need. You're going to be in contention for at least 4 more years. And if you can even extend Jason Tatum to a longer contract, which they definitely are, they're going to be a really good team for a very long time. And I love how Brad Stevens built this team. I love everything that he did with the trades and the signings. Obviously he didn't get the Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown trade from the Nets, but he's done a great job preserving the team and adding people like Derek White. All right, looking at someone who's a little bit less notable, Tobias Harris signed with the Pistons, 2 years, $52 million. So I think this is more just to help develop young players in Detroit, and he can help win more games. They're definitely not going to be making a play-in push in my opinion. I don't think they're at that level yet, but he's going to provide stretch four shooting. He's going to allow for Cade Cunningham to operate more in spacing. And I think that this is a pretty solid deal for the Pistons. You definitely have to overpay him because you're obviously the Pistons. And you're bringing back Tobias Harris to Detroit, which is definitely, somewhere that probably has some intrinsic value to him since that's where he started his NBA career. But, yeah, I mean, some disappointing seasons from Tobias in Philly the last couple of years. But I think that going back with the Pistons, it'll be, a fresh start. He's not going to be expected to do that much. So he could potentially, come back and revive his career a little bit more like we saw in Los Angeles with the Clippers. All right, last but not least, the last contract I want to talk about was actually signed a couple weeks ago. Pascal Siakam, $189.5 million for 4 years. I love this deal for both sides, just like the Chris Paul one. I think, Indy made a great playoff push last year, making it to the conference finals. And I think that by locking up Siakam, you're gonna compete for 4 more years at least with Siakam's 4-year deal, and you're gonna have Tyrese Halliburton with Siakam. So if the Pacers can just continue to build their role players and just get really really solid people, I think that they're gonna be a team to beat. Just like I don't think they're on the level of, let's say, the 76ers or the Knicks, but I think they're definitely a team to look out for in the sense that they're up and coming and they're young, and I think they could be one of those teams to be in like 2 or 3 seasons. All right, so that's it for my main signings. There are also some other notable free agents left, like DeMar DeRozan, Malik Beasley, Sadiq Bey, Nick Claxton, Alec Burks, Buddy Hield, and Gary Trent Jr. So those are guys to look out for, as Woj and Champs tweets. But yeah, I mean, other than that, there's obviously been a lot more signings than I talked about. There's probably been around 50 to 60, which is kind of insane. But I mean, yeah, that's all I have for y'all. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I did enjoy making it. I love talking about this stuff. It makes me really happy. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you guys check my links out in the description. It has my articles, it has my Twitters, it has my TikTok. So yeah, I mean, I'll see you guys next time, and hopefully you guys enjoyed.